All right, what's up, CoinZone fam? It is your host, Crypto with Paul. You're back with the CoinZone. We got another episode for you guys, another live stream for you guys, and we're going to get right into this. Appreciate you for joining. It is Wednesday, February 4th. We have a whole lot to talk about in regards to what's going on with the entire market, what's going on with Bitcoin, what's going on with Ethereum, and we're going to break that all down for you guys right now. So appreciate you for tapping in. Make sure to hit that sub button if you haven't already. We're going to start here. Bitcoin is the most oversold that it has been since the FTX crash. Now, if you were in crypto for that long, that was a pretty dark period, okay? FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, all over the news. When it comes to crypto, that got a lot of hype in bad ways, in negative ways. All right. Now, if you remember that time period, that's when Bitcoin dropped to its lowest level at around $16,000. And if you were here with me on Monday during the last stream, I talked about that time period. If you've been in here since before 2021, you've seen some ish, guys. You've been through some very crazy ups and downs and highs and lows in this space already. So this is stuff that you're accustomed to already. All right. You look at metrics like this, the average person who hasn't been and doesn't have the experience might look at this and say, this is crazy. I'm scared. I'm panicking. I'm going to sell and get out of here. But really how you should look at this is the biggest opportunity for you to start buying, for you to get in. Dollar cost average, lump sum, whatever it is. This is the most oversold it's been. This is potentially, if Leah Halpern's right, if all these individuals are right, that the 4-year cycles are, everything's basically been as planned. Bitcoin topped already. Leah said she took her profits. Everybody else should too. It's not coming back for another 4 years. That's what it kind of looks like right now. And, other charts scream different things, but right now, okay, the entire crypto market looks oversold on daily charts with potential for bullish divergence. most oversold since the COVID crash. So you're looking at all these metrics. Narratives to fool people selling Bitcoin at the bottom. 2011, what was it, guys? Mt. Gox, regulatory fears. 2015, mining centralization, Silk Road. 2018, it was the ICO bust, right? 2017, 2018, you had all these influx of altcoins that ICO'd, trying to FUD the SEC. 2022 was the FTX collapse, that macro pressure. Now it's quantum computing and Epstein and Satoshi and all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, really none of it matters. That's how I'm looking at it. Just at the end of the day, again, we've talked about it in the last streams as well, guys, but cryptocurrency theory, what's good, brother? Welcome back. Some altcoins down to multi-year lows. It's good to hear from you again, man. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, some altcoins down to multi-year lows. We've talked about ADA a bunch on this stream. I'm a big ADA holder. To see it at this level right now, I did not expect this to happen. I generally did not expect this to happen. It's not a good look. Doesn't look fun. Right. But at the end of the day, it's almost like this weird little community that we're all in, some like public pool or something. Like we're all in this together, right? When I was young, I went to a public pool for like a year and this kid pooped in the pool. So nobody could go into the pool. What a disaster it was. First of all, whose parents? Where's this kid's parents? That actually happened. I'm not even making it up. But the point is, none of us could go into the pool together. That is like the markets right now. None of us can go into this bull run together unless you're like holding Monero or Zcash and you saw the future before most people did. It's pretty insane there. Or unless, you're holding, I guess BNB had a decent year. Shout out to the XRP holders. Definitely proved a lot of haters wrong. But what are we looking at now? This chart I just put on the screen. Bitcoin RSI is now in deep value territory. Okay, so what does that mean? The 3-day RSI has not been this low since the 2022 bear market bottom. Guys, the reason why I'm showing you all these charts right now, And look, Dan Gambardello, great channel. If you don't know who Dan is, I think he does pretty good TA. The RSI, the altcoin RSI, is entering the same oversold zone as 2018 and 2022 bottoms. So this just goes to show, and again, the reason why I brought up when I was first getting into crypto, and I remember Bitcoin going from its all-time high at the time of $69,000 down to $16,000. This correction, not only did James Wynn call this out a couple months back, and he just posted about it on X. I mean, he was 100% right. And his retracement was like right where we're at. I think it was James Wynn. Right where we're at in the 70-something thousands, right? Right now, Bitcoin is at 72,000, guys. See, this is why I'm talking on the stream right now about this. This doesn't surprise me. Because again, if you look at how Bitcoin corrects, if it's going to be a large correction, it's going to reach down to its like previous cycles all-time highs almost. That's what it's done historically. So this doesn't really surprise me. 72,000. Okay, we're down, right? This is like a genuine bear market, right? You have guys like Matt Hogan who thinks that we're nearing the end of this. I mean, a lot of people genuinely think that we're nearing the end of this. This is sort of been some sort of weird, I don't know, the markets have been different this time. I don't think a lot of people saw this coming. Cryptocurrency theory, what do you think, man? Did anybody see 2025 coming? You know, you have a lot of very smart people who they didn't foresee it. They started changing their stance as things started to go on. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens for the rest of the year. And it's going to be hard to foresee because there's so much uncertainty still with what Trump can do with tariffs or Greenland or other tensions elsewhere in the world, China, Russia, the race to AI. All this is it's not only like, you know, speculative stuff, but if it happens, it can dramatically change the course of things. And yeah, I mean, this is what the markets are doing today, guys. Everything is not doing good still. I mean, ETH at 2100 right now. These are crazy opportunities. A lot of these projects, if you have long-term conviction, these are crazy opportunities right now. I mean, BitTensor still might be, I mean, Monero under 400. That looks good. Chainlink under 10 bucks. That's crazy. Let's see, Zcash. Wow, all the way down at 258 now. So let's see the chart here the last year now. Okay, so it still looks great, but I mean, we're up from here. What was it, 700s at some point? 698, 700-ish. Back down. Okay. Not bad to see. Let's see. We're gonna get to BitTensor soon. I want to see if BitTensor is still below $200. 186. Oh boy. Yeah. I put out a video yesterday, guys, on the Coin Zone. Make sure to check that out. All right, put out a video yesterday. 3 coins that I would add to my Roth IRA alongside Bitcoin. Right now, generally, you know, this video, go sub on YouTube, go watch on Instagram, on TikTok, etc. But right now, guys, I feel like you look at what Hyperliquid's doing in a lot of different areas, but their revenue is insane. You know, I think we made a chart of it, and I reposted it maybe yesterday on X, but they've been leading for a long time. Pretty much ever since they launched, they've been at the top. And it's, you know, they're blowing everybody else away in some metrics some days. It's crazy. And, you know, now they have this prediction gambling market that's coming. Everybody and their mother are rolling out prediction gambling markets right now. Coinbase just did. You have partnerships with somebody in Solana. I just saw, you know, we covered one called Rain in our series on, you know, here on YouTube. If you don't know, one of our series videos is cryptos you've never heard of before. I covered one called Rain. All right, I'm pretty sure that was on Arbitrum. And it's a prediction gambling. I mean, there's so many of them, guys. There's one on ADA called Bodega. That one's been around for a decent while already, actually. But yeah, it's, you know, we just covered how Vitalik made 70K off Kalshi, supposedly. There's a lot going on right now, guys. We're going to get to some ETH news in a little bit, too. Just some updates on something. All right, but right now, this is generally the market, guys. The CMC Crypto Fear and Greed Index hits 14. It's 6th day in extreme fear. This is now the longest streak since last year. Yeah, this is where we're at. Incredible opportunity, depending on how you look at it. See, right now, views are down. Everyone's scared. People think crypto's dead. This is exactly the time, guys. If you're here locked in for the long haul, now are the times where you got to get locked in. If you do things right in these moments, it can truly make a difference. You just have to have patience. You got to make the right moves. That's it. But most people don't have patience, and that's the unfortunate thing. We live in a world where if you get a Claude bot and teach you how to poly market trade, you can possibly get 100K in 3 days. People are doing this, guys. That's the insanity of where we're at right now. And now this, okay, the Clarity Act, this is from Polymarket. Speaking of the devil, Clarity Act signed into law in 2026. We now surge to 72%. All right, this is important. This has been dragging along for a long time. We covered what Charles said, pretty much calling all these people out, David Sachs, etc. Let's see, cryptocurrency theory. I believe Bitcoin Cash is on track to offer a competitive edge this year. Coins that have been integrating near intense, Zcash, BCH, etc. Also, the Cash VM on Bitcoin Cash is better technology than EVM. Yeah, I don't know if near intense has anything to do with near protocol, but near, they have a lot of good tech over there at near, so I wouldn't be shocked if that is the same. Because near's been low-key doing things for decent while now. Yeah, I think Charles should integrate ADA with Bitcoin Cash, like he mentioned previously. I mean, why not? I'm sure he would be open to it. And Bitcoin Cash is a big market, basically just almost identical with ADA at this point. I think Bitcoin Cash knocked ADA out of the top 10 briefly last week. So market caps are very similar. They're both projects that have been around. You know, ADA's almost been around for 10 years. At this point, Bitcoin Cash for 10 years or so. And Bitcoin Cash outperformed everything in the top 10 last year, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, Bitcoin Cash. It is 10 right now. So, okay. So slightly. Look at that. This race is interesting. Bitcoin Cash and ADA. Yeah, I think, you know, these older, mature projects are starting to get more attention again, for sure. I mean, they have to, because look at performance, right? In the past year or so for Bitcoin Cash. Pretty damn good. Okay, up 55% the past year. What do the top 10 do in the past year? Down 26% for Bitcoin. Ethereum down 24%. Let's see what XRP did. Down 41% in the last year or so. I mean, XRP had the nicest pop out of all these. But, you know, you still look at what Bitcoin Cash did, what Monero did, what Zcash did, what Dash did. And these projects are still continuing to do. It's a clear shift. And now you have all these privacy projects come out left and right. I mean, it's crazy. You have to decipher if you're going to jump on waves, right? You have to look at what's still going to have longevity. Narratives come and go, guys. The last cycle, there were narratives that nobody's talking about right now, like metaverse. No one cares. Everyone's talking about privacy, real world assets, other narratives, AI. So if you're gonna pick something, you got to make sure that this thing has long-term potential. Again, that's why I think it's very interesting. Some projects in crypto will give you incredible returns, but you might have to hold it for a long time, and people think it's the exact opposite. You can find projects, again, guys, like, for example, I'm seeing people who aped into BFS coin on Solana because they think it's tied to Mr. Beast. And this whole promise of him saying something at a Super Bowl commercial, and if you're watching it, you'll be a millionaire. Who knows? You could, but also at the same time, it could be nothing next year. You know, February 9th happens, whatever the Super Bowl is. No mention of BFS coin. Everyone dumps it. No one talks about it next year. So for me, when I look at projects and I go to a website like CoinMarketCap, I just want to look at the overall chart. And it looks a little strange to me right now. What are we doing here? Yeah, but when I look at a chart like BitTensor, I'm a big fan of BitTensor. I've been a big fan of BitTensor for a while now. And to see it under $200 is pretty crazy. Not gonna lie. I think this is a great opportunity. None of this is investment or financial advice, guys, but that's just kind of what I'm seeing right now at the moment. It's a lot of good buying opportunities in the markets right now. So what is going on with Vitalik? Okay, this whole layer 2 discussion, this debacle that Vitalik just kind of laid out, and people are, I don't know, kind of getting on his case for it. He's been pretty based as of late, I would say. I mean, he kind of is. Shout out to Vitalik. You know, that ETH obviously runs things, so it's good for him. Competition's good. I like Ethereum. We'll see how it goes. All right, guys. So Arbitrum, Optimism, and Base weigh in after Vitalik questions L2's scaling model. So Base's Jesse Pollock says L2s can't be Ethereum but cheaper, as builders respond to Vitalik Buterin's call for specialization. Several Layer 2 builders responded after Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin said the original vision of L2s as the primary scaling engine no longer makes sense, calling for a shift towards specialization. Okay. In a Wednesday post, Buterin argued that many L2s have failed to fully inherit Ethereum security due to continued reliance on multi-sig bridges, while the base layer is increasingly capable of handling more throughput via gas limit increases and future native rollups. So, yeah. I mean, look, these are the issues that you have with a chain like ETH when you constantly make iterations and change the protocol and all this stuff as you go along. This is one reason why I've always been more attracted to Cardano ever since the very beginning when I first got into crypto, and I didn't know nearly as much about these two chains as I do now. Just from a basic outside looking in perspective, kind of, I chose ADA over ETH at the time, 6 years ago, whenever it was, because it felt like they knew what they were doing more. It sounded like they everything was figured out. And as these 6 years have went on, even though the price hasn't really reflected it, or like the overall sentiment, that's been true. That's 100% been true. Everything that Cardano's been doing has just been part of the roadmap. It's just, all right, that's what we're doing next. And Vitalik, it's kind of on the fly, like, well, we're changing this, and you know, they bridged over from proof of work to proof of stake. Like, everything was figured out basically when it comes to Cardano via tons of academic research, you know, peer-reviewed papers, the move slow, don't break things approach that was laughed at for years. And I feel like finally this past year or so, you know, ADA's been extremely resilient. They have privacy that's coming. They have all these things that have been basically a part of their roadmap forever, since day one, since it was created. So it's not a surprise. And when you actually build it, when it can actually run properly without going down or getting hacked and all this stuff, you have this added layer of trust, for me at least. And I think as soon as it starts to scale with Hydra and some of these other things, and it becomes more attractive to the eyes of certain people, and it gets more traction, people are really going to they're really going to look at the security, the privacy, and all that stuff, how it's never been hacked, it's never been down. And that's really going to start to outshine other projects, because once they become competitive enough with, TPS, one or two other metrics, people are really going to start to pay attention. That's just my view on it. But yeah, it's definitely interesting, the landscape that we're in right now. Let's just go back to CoinMarketCap and just look at some of the overall numbers right now again. And chat, let me know what you guys are doing in the comments, by the way. Cryptocurrency theory. Vitalik needs to come back home to Bitcoin Cash like the old days before things got complicated. I believe Vitalik only supported Osmisko. Oh my God, network. Yeah, as a layer 2. I never heard him endorse any layer 2. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. But Ethereum is, they're clearly a very resilient chain too. And they're the chosen one. Bitcoin and ETH, and it's like, what else, guys? And that's kind of how I've been looking at it. But if you've been in this space for a while, you know what else. But for the average person, it's like, what am I doing? And it is ironic that if you just stuck with Bitcoin and ETH since the jump, you would have been doing okay. Some of these other projects are down a lot more. I think the narrative of layer 2 on ETH is dying, is a dying argument. I mean, for God's sake, you have to go to ETH and bridge with gas to get there. Ridiculously expensive to get there. Exit liquidity, probably. Yeah, these are the flaws that I'm talking about. Like these are issues where it's going to require a lot of attention and focus to try to get these things figured out on a scalable level. And you have tons of competition. The narrative's always changing. It's pretty insane. But right now, I think a lot of these little kinks, big investors don't even care about. They're like, whatever, it'll be fixed. I'm just going to dump billions into it. That's what we're seeing. Genuinely. The BlackRocks, everybody, they don't care. They're starting to build on ETH. Because one guy they trust probably said, no, this is the future. You can build anything on it. And they're like, oh, all right, I get it. Without really, really understanding it. But, this still is a very exciting space. There's just tons to get into, guys. Let's just take a look at CoinMarketCap since we're here. Like I said, look at these prices, guys. This is insane. We talked about on one of the streams last week, I think it was, or it might have been on Monday. Silver's 24-hour drawdown last week, whenever it was more than Bitcoin's entire market cap. We're early, guys. Like, this is insane. Bitcoin's early. Everything is still early. Like, it's pretty insane. For me right now, not to beat a dead horse, but to me, Monero under 400. Wow. Chainlink under $10. Jesus. ADA under 30 cents. ADA under 50 cents is ADA under $1. Jesus, Christopher Columbus. What else do we got out here? If you are a Sui bag holder, Avalanche. I've always been a fan of Avalanche. I think they got a ton going on. Hedera, that's a great price to get in at. I think Hedera is a great project. If you're a diehard DOT holder, look at some of these projects. Again, BitTensor under $200, 185 right now. Aave, it's a good project. You got Near. We got a lot of things that are coming in at great prices right now. The Aster community, 54 cents. Okay. Got a lot of things here, guys. Caspa at 3 cents. Midnight at 4 cents. Absolutely insane, guys. Yeah. Pretty wild to see. I mean, if you're watching right now and you're on the sidelines, it's a good opportunity for you guys. For real. Yeah. And yeah, like cryptocurrency theory said, guys, smash the likes. And we gotta do a bridge live stream together for sure. We'll get it going for the audience one of these days. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comments too what you're feeling right now. If you're a bag holder of anything other than Bitcoin or Ethereum, let me know what you're buying in the comments. You know, if you're a diehard ETH holder, let me know. This is what we talk about on the show. We like to talk about Ethereum. We like to talk about Base. We like to talk about the markets, altcoins. So make sure to smash that like, guys. Appreciate you for watching. We'll be back again on Friday. We're doing live streams every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We just had an interview that came out in the channel yesterday, so make sure to check that out with Fiore Trading. That was a good, fun interview. Lots of nice TA on that one, so make sure to check that out, guys. And I appreciate you for tapping in now. Sub to the channel if you haven't already. I don't know what that means. Text yellow gold. What is going on there? I appreciate it, though. Thanks for the comment. Make sure to hit that sub button. Share this video. I'm Crypto with Paul. Cryptocurrency Theory. See you later, brother. Peace out, guys.